Hello and welcome to my employment law update for the academic year 2021-2022. The idea behind these videos is that they act as a supplement for the main employment law course that I have and that is available to purchase on Gumroad. So if you are taking an employment law course this year at undergraduate level, then I definitely recommend checking that out, and I'll leave a link in the description below. But for now, let's actually take a look at what has been happening in the past 12 months and what we have to look forward to in the next year for employment law. So a couple of main things are obviously coronavirus and Brexit, and both of those seem like they're sort of behind us now, but we're still definitely dealing with the consequences. In the context of coronavirus, the vaccine rollout has been successful and generally things are moving in the right direction. But we're seeing that in the context of employment law through furlough, or as it's otherwise known, the job retention scheme coming to an end, and also the statutory sick pay rebate scheme coming to an end as well. And there's various economic advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, it was a huge bill for the government to foot during the coronavirus pandemic. But obviously it leaves quite a few people, approximately around 1 million people, in the lurch now that furlough has come to an end. Another interesting aspect of the coronavirus in relation to employment law is that there are going to be compulsory vaccinations for staff working in care homes, and that comes in from around November in 2021. And it'll be interesting to see whether, on the one hand, this could set a precedent for other places within the public sector to have a vaccine requirement, and then possibly a requirement within certain parts of the private sector as well. On the other hand, there might be a pushback against the compulsory nature of vaccinations, and we could even see challenges from some care work staff who are opposed to this. And there could be interesting arguments based on human rights ground about whether vaccinations should be compulsory for those workers. In the context of Brexit, one of the main things we've seen sort of the fuel crisis recently, and that's come about because of a lack of lorry drivers in the UK. And I think this relationship between Brexit, immigration law and employment law is just going to continue, and we're going to see this. There were new changes introduced on the 1st of January 2021 at the end of the interim period following Brexit. And this has changes to the point system, so it affects not only immigration from the EU but also immigration from outside the EU as well, and affects visas and things like that, and people trying to get settled status so that they can continue to work in the UK if they were working here during or prior to Brexit as well. There are also the standard pay rises that we see on a yearly basis for various things such as maternity pay, sick pay, national minimum wage, redundancy pays. All of that tends to move in line with inflation and increases each year. I think one of the things to look out for is the national minimum wage. I believe that has now not only gone up across the board, but national minimum wage, or the national living wage, also now applies to a younger age group. So previously it was workers who were aged 25 and over, and I think that's now down to sort of 23 and over. One of the main pieces of secondary legislation is the Employment Rights Act 1996, Protection from Detriment in Health and Safety Cases Amendment Order 2021, and this basically extends certain health and safety protections to workers. The reason that workers is sort of in quotes there is because there is a difference between workers and employees, and that's something that we actually discuss in the full course. A few cases as well to draw your attention to. These are all Supreme Court cases, and that means that there are podcast episodes of the UK Law Weekly podcast that I present that you can go and listen to if you would like more detail. Uber and Aslam is undoubtedly probably the most famous case of this year, and basically deals with whether Uber workers should be recognised as workers or not. Royal Mencap Society and Tomlinson Blake is about situations where people have to sleep very close or within their places of work, and how the pay should be calculated in those circumstances. And then finally, Asda Stores Limited and Brierley is about equal pay. So there's a range of topics that the Supreme Court has dealt with over the past year. There's going to be more that are going to be coming up, so definitely subscribe to the podcast if you are interested. And as I said before, this is really only a yearly supplement to the full course on employment law, so if you are doing that, then check out the link in the description. Otherwise, I'll be back with more podcast episodes and more updates in the future, but for now, bye!